What's up, guys? Here we are making a tier list for Necromancer elites. So some caveats to this. This is subjective somewhat, although there is some objectivity to how useful these skills are for these Necromancer elites. And we're really just thinking in this video about their use in PvP. So I'm not really going to focus on their PvE aspect, but in PvP, how useful are they? So let's go ahead and start off with the first one, which is Blood is Power. As you can see, Blood is Power is elite enchantment, and for 10 seconds, target other ally gains between +3 and +6 energy regeneration. So you sacrifice 33% health, it only costs 1 energy, has a 4th second cast time, and no recharge. So how useful do I think this is? We have this S to D tier, S being the most elite, and D being pretty useless. So with Blood is Power, I think I'm going to place it probably on this B tier. I think it does have its uses in PvP. You can definitely help out the energy of the casters on your team, help out the healers or your damage dealing casters like Mesmers or Elementalists or whatever it might be. Ultimately though, I don't know. I don't think it's all that useful. It can help out, but you are sacrificing a lot of health. There's lots of other roles that a Necromancer could be playing. So for me, this is solidly in this B tier. Next one, we have Cultist Fervor. So this is an elite enchantment spell. It says 5 seconds plus 3 seconds more for every rank of Soul Reaping. Your Necromancer spells cost 1 to 6 less energy. And you suffer from bleeding each time you cast a Necromancer spell. Cost 5 energy, 1 second cast time, 25 second recharge. Honestly, I think this is pretty useless. I think I've tried running this before in PvP, but there's not that many Necromancer skills that are very high energy that you'd really want to use this spell for. There are some high energy Necromancer spells, but they're not all that useful in PvP. And it's just not really something Necromancers need to focus on. With Soul Reaping, your energy is pretty much covered. So just an energy helper like this, not that useful. I'm putting it in D tier. Life Transfer. So Elite Hex spell also hexes foes adjacent to target and causes -3 to -8 health degeneration. And you get +3 to +8 health regeneration. 5 energy, 1 cast time, 20 second recharge. All right. For Life Transfer, I think this is good. It helps you be self-sustainable. It has decent degeneration. However, 20 second recharge. A lot of other options you could play with as a Necromancer. I think this one is also a B tier. I think what we can do is at the end of this video, maybe go back over and shift some of these around if we think they fit into different spots. But as of now, Life Transfer to me is B tier. All right, we have Offering of Blood. You gain 8 to 20 energy. So you sacrifice 20% health, only costs 1 energy, 1/4 cast time, and 15 second recharge. Again, for Necromancers specifically, not that useful because Necromancers don't really have energy management issues with Soul Reaping. However, this is sometimes used by Touch Rangers. A decent elite for Touch Rangers to gain some energy back. So this one I'm going to put into C tier. If we're thinking about just for Necromancers, not that good of a spell. But if you're running a Touch Ranger, perhaps it has some uses. If we look at the next one, we have Order of the Vampire. So enchants all party members, and the party members steal 3 to 16 health with each physical damage attack. But you sacrifice 17% of your health, costs 5 energy, 2 second cast time, and 5 second recharge. This one, again, depending on which PvP you're playing, you're kind of guessing whether or not you're going to have physical damage dealers on your team. And just for that additional, 3 to 16 health with each physical damage attack, Not that good to me. I'm putting this... It's between C and D tier. I think we can put this at C for now. I don't think it's as bad as this Cultist Fervor, but not that useful. Next we have Ravenous Gaze. So deals 15 to 30 damage and steals 15 to 30 health from target and nearby foes. You sacrifice 8% of your health. It only costs 1 energy, has a 1-second cast time, and a 10-second recharge. Alright, the damage is too low. This is not a elite I would choose over a lot of the other Necro elites that we'll see hopefully soon, that are definitely going to be more S or A tier. This one to me is C tier. No way it's on the same level as something like Life Transfer or the party usefulness of Blood is Power. This one is a C tier. Or we have Signet of Suffering. So it's a Signet, you bleed for 6 seconds, and it applies bleeding for 2 to 16 seconds to the target of your next Necromancer skill. So costs nothing, right? It's a Signet, and it has a 4-second recharge. Cast immediately. This one, just to spread extra bleeding, not that good, right? It actually has its uses in some other builds. Sometimes I run a Mesmer with a Fragility Spike build using this elite. But overall, I think this one is... It's C or D tier as well. I think for now, let's put it in C tier, because I do like this skill when running a Fragility Spike build. But overall, not so good. Next is Soul Leech. Steal 16 to 80 health whenever target foe casts a spell. Costs 10 energy, which again, I'm not so concerned about for Necromancers because their energy is pretty sustainable. Cast time is 2 seconds, which is not ideal. However, you know, casting on a 40-40 set, sometimes those 2-second activation times are only 1 second. And then 15-second recharge. Not too lengthy. Once we get up to about 20 seconds, I start to get concerned. But a 15-second recharge, not so bad. And this is whenever foe casts a spell, you steal that health. So this is useful against both healers and casters. I think this skill is actually pretty decent, pretty good. I think we're going to put this one in A tier. So as you can see right now, we're going just through all of the blood magic elite spells for Necromancers. But soon we'll have the other attributes as well. So let's just look at this Spoil Victor PvP. It says Elite Hex Spell, and for 3 to 15 seconds causes 15 to 75 health loss whenever target foe attacks or casts a spell on a creature with less health. 10 energy, 1 second cast time, 10-second recharge. This skill I think is actually underutilized and a pretty good skill in PvP, right? I mean, you can spam it, you can keep it up on a target indefinitely. 10 energy, 1 second cast time, pretty good. And you can use this either on physical damage targets. You can use this to against monks. So when they heal allies with less health than them, they'll take damage. And you can use this on casters as well, like elementalists. So like if an elementalist is hexed with this and they're attacking a foe with less health than them, they'll also suffer this health loss. Pretty good skill. I think this one is between A and S tier. It's underutilized for sure. I think for now, this one is going to go in A tier. Next up, we have Vampiric Spirit. So it's an elite enchantment spell, and it steals 5 to 50 health from target foe, and you get 5 to 10 health regeneration for 10 seconds. So it's a spammable skill for sure. Only 5 energy with 8-second recharge, 2-second cast time. The damage itself is very limited. It does provide you with some sustainability for your health. But with the low damage, there's no way it can get us into this A tier. Certainly not S tier. Is it as good as Life Transfer? I don't think so. Is it as bad as some of these ones in C tier? I don't think so either. So it falls between this B and C to me. I think what we'll do is we'll place it into B tier. But I'd like you guys to talk about these in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Perhaps you'd have a different tier list yourself, and that's great, right? Some of this is to spark debate and hear your opinions. All right, for our last blood magic skill, we have Well of Power. So this creates a well for 8 to 20 seconds, and all allies within this have 1 to 6 health regeneration and +2 energy regeneration. Only costs 5 energy, cast time of 1 second, recharge time of 15 seconds. So it's definitely spammable depending on the PvP, and if you have a lot of bodies lying around. Also depends on the PvP you're playing. If there's lots of choke points where casting a well like this would be useful. With +6 health regeneration, pretty decent. It's helpful, right? 2 energy regeneration, also pretty good. There's probably better choices for Necromancers. Again, I don't think I really like Necromancers playing such a support role, especially when using an elite skill. But it's not a bad skill. I think this one goes into B tier. All right, on to our curses magic. So we have Corrupt Enchantment. So removes 1 enchantment from target foe, and they suffer from -1 to -8 health degeneration for 10 seconds. 5 energy, 3/4 of a second cast time, and 10 recharge. So very spammable, right? You encounter lots of enchantments in PvP. Definitely want to remove a lot of those enchantments, considering how powerful they can be. And with this one providing some degeneration, its spammability, I think Corrupt Enchantment deserves A tier status. Now we have Depravity. So this is an elite hex spell, causes 1 to 5 energy loss whenever target foe casts a spell. One foe near your target also loses energy, costs 10 energy, 2-second cast time, 15-second recharge. So the sustainability of keeping this skill up is very high. Its usefulness will depend on the situation. I think this one is pretty good, but you really need to make sure that you're covering this with a cover hex. Otherwise, monks will try to strip this right away because it is actually pretty powerful, right? If you're casting like a monk very often, casting spells, and each time you're losing 5 energy, pretty powerful. Depravity, while I don't see it that much in PvP, I think it's between A and B tier. And depending on how well you can play with it, I think it deserves A tier status. Probably more useful than something like Blood is Power or Vampiric Spirit, right? I think it's pretty good in PvP. We'll put it in A tier for now. Feast of Corruption. So elite spell, deals 16 to 80 damage to target and adjacent foes. Steal 8 to 40 health from each hexed foe. Now this is where the skill gets pretty bad. 15 energy, 2-second cast time, 20-second recharge time. Right? I think 20-second recharge is... Well, there's some skills with higher recharge time, but 20 seconds is not that great. Very high energy. Again, not such a concern for necros, but still a decent amount. Right? Usually as a necro, you're running maybe 40 energy on your bar. So it's a substantial amount. And a 2-second cast time, not that good for the amount of damage that it can output. Right? It has some AoE effect, damage to target and adjacent foes. But for me, Feast of Corruption is going to go into, let's see, where is it? We're going to put this one into C tier. Possibly even D tier, thinking about its energy and cast time. But we'll put it into C tier for now. I think D tier is really reserved for the worst of the worst. All right, now we have Lingering Curse. So a hex spell that lasts for 6 to 30 seconds. Target and nearby foes have 0 to 3 health degeneration and receive 20% less health from healing. 15 energy, 1-second cast time, 10-second recharge. My thoughts on this is just 20% less health from healing, not that substantial. The degeneration is not very good. You have other skills that could also provide this reduced benefit from healing. Something like, Defile Flesh. So for me, Lingering Curse is going to go into C tier. Next up, we have Order of Autopsy. So enchants all party members just for 5 seconds. These party members remove 1 enchantment when they deal physical damage. But for each monk enchantment, you lose 25 to 15% of your maximum health. 25 energy, 2-second cast time, and instant recharge. This is an awful skill. I do not see it being very useful at all, right? The amount of energy required is insane. And just for attacks, right, to remove enchantments, and for nothing else to happen but for that enchantment to be removed when physical damage is dealt, not very good, right? I'd much rather prefer using something like Corrupt Enchantment to remove a single enchantment than to rely on this kind of like party-wide skill here that costs 25 energy, right? Not very good. So for me, Order of the Autopsy is going into the D tier. Right, Pain of Disenchantment. This one is actually a good enchantment removal skill. Target foe will lose 1 to 3 enchantments, and that foe and adjacent foes lose 10 to 100 health. 10 energy, 1 second cast time, 15 recharge. This one, it might be our first S tier skill. It's between A and S. Looking at the other skills I have in the A tier, I think it's a little bit better than some of those. Oftentimes, though, you might not see that many enchantments in PvP, depending on the game type that you're playing, or perhaps if you're running Fort Aspenwood and you're on the orange side, there's no enchantments there. They're all bunched up on the purple side. Overall, though, I think this is a good skill. I think it could be our first S tier skill, but I'm hesitant to put it there. But let's leave it at S tier for now. I think it is very good, right? Not that much energy, quick recharge, removes a lot of enchantments. So especially if you're doing Fort Aspenwood and the monks keep on, say, putting enchantments on Gunther, and you're playing on the Luxon side, this is a very good skill to remove those. Next we have Plague Signet. So it's a Signet, transfers all conditions with 100 to 200% of the remaining duration from yourself to target foe. Right, so it's a Signet, 0 energy, 1 second cast time, 4-second recharge. I guess if you're using Foul Feast, this could be useful. Then transfer all those conditions to an enemy. However, Foul Feast is usually just used with Plague Sending. And for an elite skill, I don't think it's enough to really yield a high ranking. In fact, when we did Signet of Suffering earlier, we mixed up the skill icons. So Signet of Suffering from earlier was C tier. Plague Sending, this one's got to be D tier to me. Next we have Soulbind. Every time target is healed, the healer takes between 20 and 80 damage. 10 energy, only 5-second recharge, and 1 second cast time. For me, Soulbind is definitely an S tier skill. I've seen so many monks kill themselves when being faced with Soulbind. They'll just keep on healing an ally, taking that damage. Can really shut down healers really well. So this skill is very strong. I'm a big fan of Soulbind, right? I mean, it lasts 30 seconds long. It's spammable. You can put it on a bunch of different party members, a bunch of different opponents. This one's an S tier skill. I don't have any reservations about putting Soulbind as S tier. Pain of Disenchantment, maybe a little reservations, but Soulbind is solidly an S tier for me. The next we have Spiteful Spirit, a PvE favorite of many back in the Prophecies days. but this one lasts between 8 and 20 seconds, and it deals 5 to 35 damage to target foe and adjacent foes whenever this foe attacks or uses a skill. Problem is it is 15 energy in cost and is 2-second cast time. Quick recharge at 10 seconds, but very minimal damage, right? The skill is improved by its AoE effect. And it's nice too that it triggers in 2 circumstances when target foe attacks or uses a skill. But for me, Spiteful Spirit for PvP is between B and C. Looking at the other skills we have ranked there, I think we can put it into B tier for now. Very close to C tier there. C tier though, with that 15 energy. That one we might revisit. Next we have Weakened Knees. So Elite Hex for 1 to 16 seconds. Target foe has -1 to -4 health degeneration. So not that much, but they do take 5 to 10 damage while moving. Only costs 5 energy, 1-second cast time, and 10-second recharge, so it's very spammable. But overall, the damage that it actually outputs fairly minimal, right? Usually you will catch targets moving, so it should trigger this second part of the spell. But just up to -4 health degeneration, I think Weakened Knees has its uses in some builds. It's between B and C. I would put it at C tier for now. Although comparing it to something like Spiteful Spirit, it almost seems like Spiteful Spirit is not quite as good. But again, these tier lists are not perfect. This is a rough estimation. In fact, if I was making this tier list on a different day, I might come up with a different ranking itself. All right, Wither. For 5 to 35 seconds, it causes -2 to -4 health degeneration and -1 energy degeneration. Deals 15 to 75 damage if target foe's energy drops to 0. 10 energy, 2-second cast time, 10-second recharge. So minimal health degeneration, minimal energy degeneration. Probably not going to really get this conditional damage here with their energy dropping to 0. Wither, I think, although I've used it and have liked it at times, I think this is a C tier skill. All right, so that's all we have for curses. Next we have Death Magic. For Death Magic, we have Animate Flesh Golem. So what Animate Flesh Golem does is it creates a level 3 to 25 Flesh Golem which leaves a fresh corpse when it dies. So you could exploit it. You could exploit another minion after it dies. So 10 energy, 3-second cast time. So the longest cast time we've seen. And a 30-second recharge. It does hit for pretty good damage. And it is very satisfying to see Flesh Golems in PvP matches. Something like Random Arena is really kind of useless. But if you have something like Fort Aspenwood where there are lots of corpses, it could be used more. In fact, I think Minion Masters overall are very powerful in Fort Aspenwood. But as an elite skill, I don't think it's all that useful. I think this one is going to go into C tier. I would much prefer to be summoning Bone Fiends or the likes and be able to reserve my elite for something more useful. Next we have Aura of the Lich, another Minion Master skill. Exploits all corpses within earshot. Animates a level 1 to 17 Bone Horror, +1 for each exploited corpse. You have +1 to your Death Magic attributes for 5 to 45 seconds. 15 energy, 2-second cast time, and a 45-second recharge. Very long recharge time, the longest we've seen so far. And at 15 energy, right, I mean, just exploiting all nearby corpses to get some minions. This is also going to go into C tier. Definitely a useful skill in PvE, but in PvP, I'm not a fan. The benefits it provides to +1 death magic, very minimal too. Not a big fan of it. Now we have Contagion, Whenever you gain a condition, all foes in the area gain that same condition, and you sacrifice between 10 and 5% of your maximum health. 5 energy, 1 second cast time, 20-second recharge. This skill is really kind of useless for Necromancers. This could be cool if you're doing like Foul Feast, or if you're doing like a Necromancer healer and you had draw conditions. Maybe there's some niche circumstances where all foes in the area would gain that condition. But I don't think this is very good at all. It's too conditional, and I don't think elite skills should be that conditional, and its effects pretty minimal, right? We're going to put this at D tier. Now we have Discord, looking at the PvP option. Elite spell deals 30 to 110 damage. No effect unless target foe has a condition and is either hexed or enchanted. So it's definitely conditional in its damage, so you have to have a build kind of structured around that. But only 5 energy, 2-second recharge, however, 2-second cast time. A good skill, I think, because it is low energy and spammable. What brings it down is its 2-second cast time. It has good damage, but this conditional damage, right? They have to be suffering from a condition, and they have to be hexed or enchanted. So Discord, I think we're going to put into B tier. Next we have Jagged Bones. When target undead servant dies, it is replaced by a level 0 to 15 Jagged Horror that inflicts bleeding with its attacks. So 5 energy, 1 second cast time, 15-second recharge. I am not a fan of this elite for Minion Masters. I think Minion Masters Elite should utilize something else from Soul Reaping or Death Magic besides these like specific ones like Flesh Golem or R of the Lich, and Jagged Bones is just not that strong for PvP. And just bleeding with its attacks, I mean, bleeding is very minimal degeneration. This one is going to go down into C tier. Next we have Order of Undeath. So for 5 seconds, your undead servants deal 3 to 16 damage, and you lose 2% of your maximum health whenever your servants hit. Cost 10 energy, 1 second cast time, 5-second recharge. So you could keep this one on indefinitely. And I have run some Minion Master builds using this elite, and it is pretty satisfying seeing high damage numbers that they hit with the plus 16 damage. So this one I think I would prefer over some of these other Minion Master elites. I would almost be likely to put it into B tier, but I think it still belongs in C tier here. Tainted Flesh. Foes who hit target ally in melee become diseased, and this ally is immune to disease. So this is an enchantment spell that lasts for 20 to 44 seconds. No recharge, only 5 energy, 1 second cast time. You don't see this one used a lot. Spreading disease around the map can be pretty useful, especially in something like Fort Aspenwood, or I guess even in Alliance battles. Even though Alliance battles, it's not as enclosed as some of the other PvP formats like FA, Fort Aspenwood. I need to give this one a shot again, but for now, this also is a C tier skill for me. I know we have a lot of skills within the C tier. I think this is a category we might revisit to see if there's actually any outliers here. But Tainted Flesh, the spread of disease, right? Not the best for me. That's going to be C tier. All right, then we have Toxic Chill. Deals 15 to 75 cold damage and inflicts poison for 10 to 25 seconds if target foe is hexed or enchanted. So it has this conditional poison condition, right? I mean, it will always deal this up to 75 damage, but only poison if they are hexed or enchanted. However, usually if you're playing a Necromancer using this skill, right, from Death Magic, you will have hexes that you're spreading. So usually it pairs pretty nicely, or you might see enchantments. Where I think the skill really shines is the fact that it's only 5 energy. It casts in 1 second, and it has a 5-second recharge. I think Toxic Chill provides some really good damage, provides the ability to spread poison across multiple opponents. And again, you can just spam it over and over again. I think Toxic Chill is actually an S tier skill. Up to 75 damage is very strong. Cold damage. And again, poison is some very nice degeneration. Spammable. I think it's a great skill. In fact, oftentimes when I run something like a Minion Master, I'll use Toxic Chill as my elite, just so I have an easier time killing foes and then exploiting their corpses. So Toxic Chill is an S tier skill to me. Next we have Virulence. So inflicts disease, poison, and weakness conditions for 3 to 15 seconds. This only works if target foe already has a condition on them. Costs 5 energy, 1 second cast time, 15-second recharge. So Virulence, I don't know where to place this one. I think it's between C and B. I think Virulence has its uses. But, I mean, disease and poison, very good degeneration. Weakness is very good. There's other Necromancer skills you could use for weakness, like Enfeeble. And only up to 15 seconds. Not that long. Right? I mean, you could keep it on indefinitely since it is a 15-second recharge. But this one too is a C tier skill for me. Alright, that's all for Death Magic. Now we have Soul Reaping. So Soul Reaping, we have Elite Hex Spell, and for 10 to 35, and it lasts for 10 to 35 seconds. Target foe, it deals 20 to 110 cold damage to nearby foes if target foe dies while hexed with this. The initial damage it deals is between 10 and 90 cold damage. So it works really well if that foe dies, right? They become like a bomb. And it only costs 10 energy, 5-second recharge, 1 second cast time. Icy Veins, I think, is pretty strong overall in its damage output. I like this effect of it turning into like a bomb. In fact, this is really good when clearing out gates or shrines in Fort Aspenwood. Icy Veins, I think, is actually an A tier skill. Could be an S tier, but we'll put it at A tier for now. Reaper's Mark causes -1 to -5 health degeneration, lasts for 30 seconds, and you gain 5 to 15 energy if they die while hexed with this spell. So it's 5 energy, 1 second cast time, and 15 energy and 15 recharge. Not that substantial health degeneration. It does last for a while. The energy gain is not that important to me. Again, with Soul Reaping, Reaper's Mark, that energy gain is not that useful, I don't think. And with all the other choices you could bring as a Necromancer, especially with Soul Reaping, right? I mean, you're already going to have lots of points into Soul Reaping. I don't know about Reaper's Mark. I think this one is C tier. That brings us to our last two. We have Wail of Doom. So an elite hex spell that lasts between 1 and 4 seconds, and all of target foe's attributes are then set to 0. So it costs 10% of your maximum health, 1 energy, it recharges in 15 seconds, and a 1/4 cast time. This is a great way to shut down a monk or a caster or anybody, right, for 4 seconds. And, 4 seconds is like about 1/3 of the time you could keep it up with a 15-second recharge. I think this skill is pretty good, right? Oftentimes when targets are getting spiked, they have about 4 seconds until they die. You could shut down a monk for about 4 of those seconds. Or if you're getting spiked by like an elementalist, shut them down for those 4 seconds. I know it seems like a minimal amount of time, but I think it's pretty powerful. And Wail of Doom is going to move into A tier status. Last but not least, we have the no attribute skill of Grenth's Balance. So it says you gain health equal to half the difference between you and target, and this foe loses an equal amount. Right? So it's 10 energy, a 4th cast time, and 10-second recharge. This skill has its uses in niche circumstances, when perhaps you're super low on health and target foe has a lot of health, and then you can use this skill. But to be waiting for those circumstances or to try to time these circumstances where you're low health is pretty difficult. Grenth's Balance, it's fun. It has its kind of a cool use and how it works. But this skill is a C tier skill for me. So there we have it. We have our Necromancer Elite tier list. Again, the focus here is on PvP. Mainly, I've been thinking about this in the context of Fort Aspenwood, although we might be able to think about this for things like alliance battles, or perhaps even guild versus guild, or random arenas. But for the most part, this is in the context of Fort Aspenwood, which is what I play the most. And at this point, I don't know if there's any shifting around that we'll do. Spiteful Spirits could be more of a C tier skill. I think it falls more in between the two. And these other ones here, I think I'm pretty happy with where we place them. I think for sure this D tier down here with Cultist, Fervor, Order of the Autopsy, you have Plague, Signet, and Contagion. I think those definitely belong in D tier. For our S tier with Soulbind, Pain of Disenchantment, and Toxic Chill, I think those are pretty solid. We have kind of an overrepresentation here of the C tier, but I think there's just a lot of skills that are not that great, but are not awful. And I think that's represented by the C tier with these skills here. B tier, right? These skills that have their uses, they're decent, they pretty good in some circumstances, but not really enough to be A or S tier. Blood is Power, Life Transfer, Vampiric Spirit, Well of Power, Spiteful Spirit, Discord. I think that's a pretty solid spot for those to be in. So hope you guys enjoyed this tier video. I think I'll be trying to make a tier list for the elites of other professions. Perhaps we might even do some regular skills as well. But overall, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you think any of these are incorrect or any of them are wildly off, and we can start a discussion. So cheers, guys, and peace.